In a controversial move that has sent shockwaves through the nation, President Donald Trump has signed an executive order with far-reaching implications. This order sets in motion the process of dismantling the Department of Education, a federal institution that has been in place for decades. This action aligns with a long-standing objective of conservatives who have argued for years that the federal government should have a limited role in education. They aim to reduce federal involvement in education, believing that local and state governments are better suited to address the unique needs of their communities. The goal is to transfer authority over educational matters to state and local governments, thereby decentralizing control and potentially fostering innovation and responsiveness. This move has sparked intense debate across the nation, with opinions sharply divided along political lines. The executive order directs Education Secretary Linda McMahon to take charge of this monumental task. Her task is to facilitate the department's closure, ensuring a smooth transition. She will also oversee the transfer of its functions to other federal agencies and state governments. This transition is expected to be complex, with numerous logistical and legal challenges anticipated. The order has ignited strong reactions from various stakeholders, including educators, parents, and policymakers. Republicans largely support the initiative, viewing it as a step towards greater local control and reduced federal bureaucracy. Conversely, Democrats and public school advocates express vehement opposition, fearing it will lead to inequality and reduced educational standards. While Trump's executive order initiates the process, a crucial hurdle remains. Complete closure of the Department of Education hinges on congressional approval. This makes the department's future uncertain. The outcome rests on the legislative process. Political roadblocks may emerge. The executive order instructs the Education Secretary to minimize the department's functions. This must be done within the bounds of the law. However, without congressional action, complete closure is impossible. This requirement adds complexity. It introduces potential delays, negotiations may be necessary, outright rejection of the proposal is also possible. Established in 1979, the Department of Education has been a cornerstone in shaping the educational landscape of the United States. The Department of Education plays a vital role in ensuring that every student has access to quality education, regardless of their background or circumstances. It oversees various aspects of public education across the U.S., from elementary schools to higher education institutions. This includes managing funding, administering student loans, and implementing programs designed to support disadvantaged students. It's important to note that the department doesn't directly operate schools or dictate curricula. Instead, it provides guidelines and resources to help schools meet educational standards. The responsibilities of operating schools and setting curricula primarily fall to state and local governments. The department's budget is substantial, reflecting its significant role in the education system. For fiscal year 2024, the budget stands at $238 billion, a considerable amount dedicated to enhancing education. However, this represents a small fraction of the overall federal budget, less than 2%, highlighting the need for efficient allocation. These funds support a wide range of programs aimed at improving educational outcomes. These include Title I funding for low-income schools, which helps ensure that all students have access to quality education. Pell grants for college students are another example, providing financial assistance to those in need. Resources for children with disabilities are also provided, ensuring that every child has the opportunity to succeed. The majority of funding for public schools comes from state and local governments, not the federal government, emphasizing the collaborative effort required to support education across the nation. Trump's executive order outlines a vision. It seeks to transfer the Department of Education's functions. The recipients of this power would be state and local governments. This reflects a belief in greater local control over education. This transfer aims to empower states and communities. They would have more autonomy in shaping their educational systems. The idea is to tailor education to specific needs and priorities. This decentralization aims to foster flexibility and innovation. This would occur at the local level. Decisions would be made closer to those affected: students, parents, and educators. Proponents of this approach argue for its benefits. They believe it will lead to more responsive education policies. These policies would be tailored to the specific circumstances of each community. Section 5, the fate of student loans, a looming question mark. The Department of Education manages a massive portfolio. This portfolio consists of federal student loans totaling $1.6 trillion. Under the proposed changes, this responsibility would shift. The Small Business Administration would take over. It's crucial to understand that this transfer wouldn't erase loan obligations. Borrowers would still be responsible for repayment. The specifics of this transition remain unclear. How it would be implemented is uncertain. Its potential impact on borrowers is unknown. Concerns have arisen. Some question the Small Business Administration's capacity. Can it effectively manage such a large and complex loan portfolio? Others worry about potential disruptions. Changes in loan terms for borrowers are also a concern. Section 6. Preserving key programs. Navigating the uncertain future. Despite plans to dismantle the Department of Education, some functions will remain. This decision has sparked a lot of discussions and debates among educators, policymakers, and the general public. The Trump administration has indicated that critical functions will be preserved. These functions are deemed essential for maintaining the quality and accessibility of education across the country. These functions would be redistributed to other federal agencies. This redistribution aims to streamline operations and reduce bureaucratic overhead. This includes essential programs like federal Pell grants. Pell grants are a cornerstone of financial aid for many students pursuing higher education. These grants provide crucial financial aid to low-income college students. Without them, many students would struggle to afford tuition and other educational expenses. Title I funding, which supports schools with high concentrations of low-income students, would also be preserved. This funding is vital for ensuring that all students have access to quality education, regardless of their socio-economic status. The decision to retain these programs highlights their significance. It underscores the importance of providing support to the most vulnerable populations in our education system. They are seen as vital for providing educational opportunities. These programs help bridge the gap between different socio-economic groups, promoting equality and inclusivity. They also offer support to disadvantaged students. However, concerns persist. The effectiveness of these programs under the new administration remains a topic of concern. How effectively will these programs be administered under the proposed changes? Will funding be sufficient? These questions are on the minds of many stakeholders. Could there be disruptions or reductions in services? The future of these programs is uncertain, and their successful implementation is crucial for the well-being of countless students. Section 7. Voices of dissent, controversy, and opposition to the plan. Trump's executive order has triggered widespread controversy. Opposition has come from various groups. Democrats have voiced their concerns. Public school advocates are worried. Civil rights organizations have also expressed their opposition. Critics argue that dismantling the department would harm public education. They believe vulnerable students would be disproportionately affected. These students rely on federal programs and protections. Concerns revolve around potential consequences. Decreased funding is a major worry. Some fear a weakening of civil rights law enforcement. Increased inequality in educational opportunities is another concern. Critics also question the capacity of state and local governments. Can they effectively absorb the department's responsibilities and funding? Could this negatively impact students? Section 8. Uncertainty looms, the potential impact on education. The Department of Education's future hangs in the balance. The proposed dismantling faces significant obstacles. Legal and political hurdles stand in the way. The potential impact of these changes is a subject of intense debate and speculation. Students, educators, and the entire education system could be affected. Concerns about potential disruptions abound. Funding for education could be jeopardized. Services may be interrupted. Oversight could be weakened. Disadvantaged students and schools are seen as particularly vulnerable. The long-term consequences remain unclear. The outcome hinges on several factors: how the transition is implemented, the level of funding provided, and the policies adopted by state and local governments. Section 9, A Nation Divided. The future of education hangs in the balance. The debate over the Department of Education reflects a deeper division. The nation grapples with the role of the federal government. Should it play a central role in education, or should power be decentralized? The outcome of this debate has profound implications. It will shape the future of education for generations to come. It is a decision that demands careful consideration and a commitment to the best interests of all learners.